You're watching Tornado Facts with Beanrock124, Season 2, Episode 11, or Episode 31. My name is Nathan, and I talk about tornadoes all the time. We're going to be talking about tornadoes for the next couple days because look at this. I just felt like I had to mention this. I'm recording this the night before Sunday, so, oh boy. Night before Sunday, so Saturday night. 30% chance of severe weather in this area, near the same area as just 3 weeks ago here. So expect a special episode of Tornado Facts with Beanrock124 if a severe tornado outbreak occurs. But back to here. So, today we're talking about the 1998 Comfrey St. Peter's tornado outbreak. It was an unseasonably strong tornado outbreak which affected the upper Midwest region of the United States on March 29, 1998. A strong area of low pressure combined with the warm front and favorable upper level dynamics to produce 16 tornadoes across the region, 14 in Minnesota and 2 in Wisconsin. 13 of the tornadoes in Minnesota were spawned by a single supercell thunderstorm. The supercell remained intact for approximately 150 miles as it moved across the southern part of the state during the late afternoon hours. They may it traveling 150 miles sound like a big deal when the quad state supercell of last year, almost 1 year ago actually, they make this sound like a bigger deal than that. Over $235 million in damage was recorded from tornadoes, that'd be in 1988 dollars. 2 people were killed and another 21 were injured. Most of the damage was caused by 3 tornadoes. One rated F4 on the Fujita scale that hit the town of Comfrey, Minnesota, an F3 that hit St. Peter, Minnesota, and an F2 that hit Le Centre, Minnesota. Gustavus Adolphus College in St. Peter was especially hard hit, with several buildings damaged or destroyed. 2,000 trees were lost and nearly 80% of the windows on campus were shattered. In Comfrey, 75% of the structures in town were damaged or destroyed, including the local K-12 school. 7 counties in southern Minnesota were later declared a federal disaster area. The outbreak broke many early season tornado records for the state of Minnesota. The 14 tornadoes in the state were the most ever to touch down in a single day in March. The F4 tornado was the strongest ever recorded in the state in March. What? I think I said it right before. And its 67-mile path, the longest tornado ever recorded in Minnesota. In December 1998, the United States Department of Commerce awarded a bronze medal to the Twin Cities Office of the National Weather Service for providing excellent service to the public during the outbreak event. Here's your meteorological synopsis. Synopsis. It's synopsis, but I've gotten used to saying synopsis, so we're going to say that from now on. The driving force behind this tornado outbreak was a strong surface-based low-pressure area stationed over the western high plains. On the morning of March 29, the low-pressure system was centered over eastern Wyoming with a warm front stretching eastward across Nebraska and Iowa. An upper-level trough of low pressure was centered over the southwestern United States, which caused an upper-level jet stream with winds of 100 knots, 120 miles an hour, to push toward Minnesota from the southwest. A low-level jet from the south with winds of 50 knots, or 60 miles an hour, transported a plume of warm, humid air into the region, helping push temperatures to above 70 degrees and dew points into the mid-60s. Winds on the surface were from the southeast, which created a low-level wind shear, enhancing the potential for tornadoes. By early afternoon, the low-pressure system had moved east into Nebraska, while the warm front had moved northward into southern Minnesota. The atmosphere to the south of the warm front was strongly capped, meaning that the best chance of thunderstorm development was in areas along and slightly north of the front. By the time thunderstorms started developing, Cape values were over 2,000 joules per kilogram, indicating moderate atmospheric instability. Also present were low-level and deep-layered wind shear values of 44 and 87 knots, 51 to 100 miles an hour, respectively. All of these factors combined to create very favorable conditions for the development of severe thunderstorms and tornadoes. The thunderstorms that would eventually spawn the tornadoes began forming in southeastern South Dakota around 2 o'clock. The first severe weather report of the outbreak was 3/4 of an inch diameter hail 2 miles south of Brandon, South Dakota. Shortly thereafter, the thunderstorms moved east across the border into Minnesota. After several more reports of severe hail with growing thunderstorms, the first tornado of the day, rated F2 on the Fujita scale, touched down at 3:23, 2 miles north of Lismore. It was on the ground for less than 1 mile and caused minor damage. 5 more tornadoes, all rated F2 or lower, briefly touched down during the next hour in the same general area, none of which inflicted damage. inflicted damage. All of these tornadoes were spawned by the same supercell thunderstorm. During the remainder of the afternoon hours, this supercell would proceed to track east-northeast across southern Minnesota for 150 miles, tracking slightly north of the warm front. See, it's making a big deal out of the 150 miles again. Weather forecasters began to notice the severity of the impending weather situation at the 6 o'clock computer model runs on the night of Friday, March 27th. On Saturday, March 28th at 11:30 a.m., the Storm Prediction Center issued a Day 2 moderate risk of severe weather for southeastern Minnesota, northeastern Iowa, and much of Wisconsin. This is Day 1, though, but you kind of get the idea. It includes extreme northwestern Illinois as well, so this area here. Later model runs on March 28th only increased forecasters' confidence that a major severe weather event would occur the following day. In the early morning hours of Sunday, March 29th, the forecasters at the Twin Cities National Air Service Office noticed that due to the model's prediction of strong wind shear and instability, the tornado risk was quite high for their region. Area forecast discussions during this period mentioned the probability of F3 plus tornadoes later in the day. Also morning on March 29th, the Storm Prediction Center issued a Day 1 moderate risk of severe weather for nearly the same area. This moderate risk was more narrow than the previous day's outlook, encompassing only southwest Wisconsin, northern Iowa, and the southern third of Minnesota. As the day moved on, the Twin Cities, Sioux Falls, and La Crosse forecast offices all saw the potential for strong to violent tornadoes and used such verbiage in their forecasting. The Twin Cities National Weather Service noted that in their 12:26 p.m. forecast discussion that thunderstorms located south of Redwood Falls, to Minneapolis to Rice Lake line. I get it now. Thunderstorms located south of Redwood Falls to Minneapolis to Rice Lake line could be particularly strong with the potential of tornadic thunderstorms. Just before noon, the Storm Prediction Center issued a moderate... I'm becoming dyslexic again. We were doing so well. The Storm Prediction Center issued a mesoscale discussion stating that given strength of vertical shear profiles, Cape on the order of 2,000 joules per kilogram will support increasing potential for tornadic supercells during the afternoon hours, especially along an axis roughly from Yankton through Sioux Falls into Redwood Falls into the Minneapolis-Rochester areas. We will continue to monitor indications our weather watch will be necessary within the next 2 to 3 hours. At 1:35 p.m., the Storm Prediction Center issued Tornado Watch number 132 with a PDS designation, particularly dangerous situation. The watch area encompassed most of southern Minnesota and northern Iowa, along with small parts of northeastern Nebraska, southeastern South Dakota, southwestern Wisconsin, and was made into effect from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Alright, that took too long. Here's your confirmed tornadoes. None unrated, 6F0, 3F1, 5F2, 1F3, 1F4. Fortunately, no F5s, for a total of 16. And this doesn't make sense. Lismore, Leota, Wilmot, St. Killian. What is this? 0 miles? That's physically impossible. Here you go again. Fulda, 0 miles. Lonsdale, 0 miles. Well, details unknown. Okay, so this could... Okay, we'll give this one a break. And yeah, there's your tornadoes there. Yeah, I'm not gonna... Okay, I'll read Comfrey, because that was the most significant one. At 3:50 p.m., a tornado touched down 7 miles east of Oka, Minnesota, in eastern Murray County. As the tornado moved through Cottonwood County, it grew to a width of 900 yards wide and obtained F3 strength. It destroyed numerous farms, farm equipment, trees, power lines and poles, vehicles, and other structures in its path. A total of 20 people outside a church near Jeffers were able to get inside the church just before the tornado hit, and as a result, nobody suffered serious injuries. At approximately 4:30 p.m., the tornado, which witnesses described as a massive blowing air or rolling fog bank, sounds similar to Plainfield, entered Comfrey, a town of 550 people located in both Cottonwood and Brown counties. Comfrey's fire chief saw the tornado while storm spotting and ordered the town's sirens activated. The tornado moved through the center of Comfrey 1 minute after the sirens went off and destroyed a grain elevator, the town hall, three of the town's 4 churches, the grocery store, and most of the Main Street businesses downtown. The town's firehouse collapsed, and the school was heavily damaged. Of the 200 houses in town, all but 15 suffered damage. 50 of those homes were destroyed, and as a result, 100 people were left homeless. Finally, no mobile homes after like a series of 9 episodes, especially last episode. As the tornado continued to move through Brown County, it achieved F4 strength and grew to 1.25 miles wide. Approximately 15% of the 1,000 farms in Brown County suffered damage from the tornado, and 500 dairy cattle were lost. Dang it, there goes my milk. I don't know why I said that. The tornado went on to cause additional damage in Blue Earth and Blue Earth, Blue-Green Earth. That makes more sense. And Watonwan counties. Watawan. I'm gonna move on. After traveling across 6 counties for an hour and 25 minutes, causing $75 million in damage, the twister lifted back into the clouds around 5:15 p.m., 4 miles southeast of Cortland. In addition, 19 people were injured by this tornado. You know what? I'll read the rest. At 5:18 p.m., the same supercell produced another large tornado 2 miles to the east of Nicollet. As the tornado moved east, a 6-year-old boy was killed when the vehicle his family was riding in was overtaken by the tornado. At 5:30 p.m., the F3 tornado hit St. Peter, a town of about 10,000 people, located in eastern Nicollet County, and inflicted severe damage on much of the town. Gustavus Adolphus College, which sits on top of a hill on the west side of St. Peter, suffered heavy damage after taking a direct hit from the tornado. About 80% of the windows on the campus were shattered, and most of the major buildings on campus sustained damage. Well, that's nice. The chapel spire, a campus landmark, was snapped in half. I think this is it. Nope. That's just damage to the building. The admissions office was destroyed, as was Johnson Hall, a small dormitory. The Lund Center for Physical Education and Health lost parts of its roof, as did the tennis center. The football press box was blown from the top of the stadium bleachers, and the baseball dugouts were damaged. The tornado also uprooted more than 1,000 trees, almost completely moving on the campus, almost wiping out the campus, I should say. Gustavus was on spring break at the time of the tornado, so the campus was virtually vacant of the students, and there were no serious injuries or fatalities reported. As the tornado continued through St. Peter, it caused more damage and destruction. St. Peter's Catholic Church and St. Peter's Evangelical Lutheran Church were destroyed, as well as the Art and Heritage Center. The hospital was severely damaged, and the library was hit, resulting in a loss of 25% of its books. Wow, they really had to specify 25% of its books. You could have just said some of its books, or you couldn't have said it at all. Officials estimated 500 homes in St. Peter were destroyed, 1,700 more were damaged, and over 17,000 trees lost. Many of the homes and trees that were destroyed in St. Peter were more than a century old. Wow. Debris from St. Peter was sucked into the tornado. Fell back down to the earth as far east as Rice Lake, Wisconsin, over 130 miles away. In addition to the damage in St. Peter, the tornado also damaged or destroyed 60 homes and caused $6.5 million in damage in rural areas. Altogether, this tornado was on the ground for 18 miles and inflicted $120 million in damage. Okay, now this is Le Centaur, Minnesota. I know I'm saying it purposely wrong, but it's Le Centaur, but I pronounce it Le Centaur because it's French. Shortly after the St. Peter's tornado dissipated, a new tornado formed at 5:48 p.m. 2 miles north of Cleveland, Minnesota. The half-mile wide tornado damaged several farms before hitting Le Centaur at F2 strength. Okay, that's getting old. The tornado damaged many businesses on the south side of town and caused heavy damage at the Le Sillard County Fairgrounds. Wow, I have a pretty good French accent, even though I don't think I was supposed to say it in French. Over 100 buildings that were related to farm stuff were destroyed. The Sunny Terrace mobile... Oh, great. Welcome to episode 10 of me ranting about mobile homes. Do not be in a mobile home for any reason. I need to get a shirt that says that. The Sunny Terrace mobile home park in Le Centaur took a direct hit from the tornado. God bless America. 15 mobile homes were destroyed and another 26 were heavily damaged. No. I shouldn't say heavily damaged. If it were hit, it was destroyed. The manager of the mobile home park was able to alert residents to the oncoming tornado, allowing most of them to take cover in a storm shelter before the tornado hit. There were no fatalities from this tornado, though 2 people sustained injuries. After traveling for 17 miles and causing $20 million in damage, the tornado lifted from the ground 1 mile west of the town of Montgomery. Over the next hour, the supercell continued to track across southern Minnesota. Go away. Dropping 4 more tornadoes in Rice and Dakota counties. One of these tornadoes hit the town of Lonsdale at F2 strength, damaging 4 homes and 6 businesses. Shut up, stupid thing. Damaging 4 homes and 6 businesses in the town, and then 20 farms to the east of town. This tornado had a path of 5 miles and caused $20 million in damage. The last of the 13 tornadoes spawned by the supercell was a brief F0 tornado that touched down 5 miles southwest of Hastings, and the supercell dissipated a few minutes later as it moved into Wisconsin. Wisconsin does not like supercells, I can tell. 4 additional tornadoes touched down on this day. A tornado that was associated with the main supercell touched down briefly near Fulda, Minnesota at 3:55 p.m., while the Comfrey tornado was also on the ground. It was rated F1 and caused minor damage. 3 other tornadoes that were all unrelated to the main supercell were confirmed as well. 1 in southeast Minnesota near Wabash and 2 in Wisconsin. All 3 were rated F0 on the Fujita scale and only caused minor damage. On April 1st, 1988, 7 counties in Minnesota were declared federal disaster areas: Brown, Les Sauillères, Nicollet, Rice, Cottonwood, Blue Earth, and Nobles counties. The money allotted from the federal government allowed the affected towns to clean up the damage and begin the rebuilding process. In addition to the federal dollars, the state of Minnesota contributed $27.6 million to the cleanup and rebuilding effort, with $1.35 million designated specifically for the preservation of historical buildings in St. Peter. Most of St. Peter's buildings that were on the National Historic Register were damaged, but only one, a French Second Empire school building that had been built in 1871, St. Peter's Central School, had to be demolished. 3 years after the tornado, the city of St. Peter reported that its population had grown by 2%, an unusual feat for a town that had so recently endured a natural disaster. Oh, Jesus Christ, I got more to read. Damage to the Gustavus campus was estimated at nearly $60 million, despite 33 out of the 78 classrooms not being ready for use. The college reopened 3 weeks after the tornado. Man, those kids must have loved their break. Following the storm, a major concern for the college was that the student base would be eroded. To prevent that from happening, every returning and graduating student was given a $3,000 check by the college. Wait, huh? I've never heard of that. I want to go here. In addition, the school sent out letters and made phone calls to all 2,000 applicants within 10 days of the disaster. The 735 new students who reported to Gustavus the following fall comprised the largest incoming class in the school's history. After a summer of repairs, the symbolic end to the rebuilding process on the campus occurred on October 22, 1988, when a new 175-foot spire was placed atop the chapel. Following the tornado in Comfrey, the residents were forced to temporarily evacuate the town due to several gas leaks, and the Minnesota National Guard was called in to help secure the area. Because the town's K-12 school was destroyed, students resumed classes 2 weeks 20 miles to the north in Sanborn. I would not want to do that. Since many Comfrey residents were displaced to nearby towns, school buses from Comfrey drove to each town to provide children transportation to the school in Sanborn. To help stock the classrooms, the school used equipment and supplies that had been salvaged from the damage, as well as items that had been donated. Immediately following the tornado in Comfrey, there was uncertainty about the town's long-term survival. Then in the week following the tornado, the town decided to rebuild the school, and as a result, most of Comfrey's businesses decided to follow suit. Ground was broken on the new school early the next year and was open to students on October 4, 1999. The Comfrey population is down to 367 from the 425 when the tornado hit. Shut up. Official U.S. government totals gathered in the months following the disaster state that the tornadoes caused $235 million of damage. However, later estimates put the total much higher, including over $300 million in St. Peter alone. Jeez. Additionally, over $800,000 in hail and downburst damage was reported over South Dakota, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. For the 13 tornadoes that touched down from the parent supercell in southern Wisconsin, the Twin Cities and Sioux Falls National Weather Service offices issued tornado warnings in an average 15 minutes before the warned areas were hit. Because of the shut the actual heck up. Because of the above-average lead time for the warnings and for excellence in forecasting the entire event, a bronze medal was issued to the Twin Cities National Weather Service office the following December by the U.S. Department of Commerce. Why not gold? Man, what did they have to do? Literally force the tornado to stop and go back in the air to get a gold medal? Jeez. Now, tornadoes during the month of March are an unusual occurrence in Minnesota when compared to the rest of the spring and summer months. Before this event, there had only been 6 tornadoes ever recorded in the state of March. And since this event, there has only been 6. This outbreak marks the first time in Minnesota history that 2 tornadoes were recorded on the same day in March, as well as the first time since 1921 that there had been multiple tornadic fatalities on the same day in March. Despite the historical significance of the outbreak, this was not the earliest calendar year tornado to touch down in Minnesota. That record is held by 3 tornadoes that touched down on March 6, 2017. With the path of 67 miles, the Comfrey tornado had the 5th longest track of any tornado on record in Minnesota. However, it is the longest continuous track tornado in Minnesota history, meaning that it was the longest to have been observed to be always in contact with the ground. The damage from the F4 tornado that struck Comfrey is the strongest ever measured in Minnesota during the month of March. The previous strongest measured were 2 F3s occurring on March 27, 1905 and March 26, 1921. Whew, that was way too much to read. I wouldn't be surprised if this video is like 20 minutes long, just like the Gerald video. Either way, that is it for episode 31 or season 2, episode 11 of Tornado Panics with Beanrock124. Goodbye.